In this video, you're going to learn how to get a modern guitar tone like this. So what you just saw there was a cover I put out not long ago, and more than any other video I've ever posted, people really wanted to know how I got the tone, so I figured while I'm at it, I might as well also explain in general how to get a good modern guitar tone. Now you might see from the title that this is going to be split up into 4 levels, purely because it's literally impossible to get the tone that you just heard just by getting the Neural DSP preset and putting it in. You can definitely get a good tone that way, but the super bright and pingy perfectionist style tone you just can't. So depending on how much money and different plugins and levels of experience with mixing you have, you're going to be able to get different levels of results. Alright, that's enough yapping. On to level 1, amp and a guitar with camera audio. Now to be honest, this level's kind of tricky for me because you could have any combination of any guitar with any amp and I'd have no way of knowing. So I'm just going to try go as general as possible. If you have a 5-way pickup selector like this Ibanez, then you want to be on the 4th position pickup. And if you've got a 3-way pickup selector, then you want to be on the 2nd position. Of course, you want to have your tone and volume knobs all the way up. And now let's take a look at the amp. You're going to want a sort of high gain clean tone so it's nice and punchy. You want your bass and your mids at 12 o'clock, but boost the treble for that brightness and that clarity. If your amp has some effects or you've got some pedals, chuck on some compression and some chorus. People often make the mistake of having way too much chorus, so make sure it's just a little bit. Last thing you'll need is some subtle reverb and you're good to go. If you don't have all the effects I mentioned, then just do as many as you can. Of course, this level also requires that you're playing camera audio, so what you're probably doing is getting out your phone, setting it up, doing a few takes till it's good enough, and then posting it. Alright, that was level 1. Now let's move on to level 2, Neural DSP and a dubbed playthrough video. Now this is the level that I see most online guitarists kind of getting stuck at. You're recording your DI into Ableton or whatever DAW you use, and then you're putting Archetype Tim Henson or some other plugin on top. Now for an example of this, I'm going to show you why exactly I dialed my tone the way I did for that riff from earlier. We're on the white amp because it's the best one for clean tones. Doubler, absolutely on. This is going to make you sound a lot wider and more full. Over to the effects, boost. This is really going to help with that crispiness and that brightness. Treble turned up a little bit to try and accentuate that. Compressor on fast attack and the dial all the way up because modern guitar tones are all about this super punchy and level dynamics. No overdrive obviously because it's a clean tone. While I'm here, the gate is pretty high because we don't want any string noise or fret buzz or anything like that, but I find if you have it any higher, then it kills a lot of those nice frequencies, so -50 is around where you want to have it. Now this gain knob is a pain in my ass. You turn it up a little bit too high and it's way too distorted, and you turn it down a little bit and it's not full and it's not loud. So you really got to find the sweet spot of those aspects. Bass, middle, treble, presence, they're all like that because that's what sounds good to me. It's a nice mix of all the frequencies. Over to the mics, this is all honestly not that important. The other settings matter 10 times more if you're worrying about a good tone, so just leave it on default. It'd take too long to explain exactly what's going on with this EQ, but just know that it's where a lot of the magic's coming from. Instead of explaining it, I'm just going to demonstrate, so here's without the EQ. And here's with the EQ. See what I mean? This EQ can look kind of intimidating because there's a lot of dials and knobs and it's not really intuitive as to how it changes the sound, but I 100% recommend you do put in the effort to figure out how it all works because it's where a lot of the tone is going to come from. With the effects, we got chorus around the middle because it just really gives it that life and energy. I don't have any delay or reverb in my Neural DSP, but that's because I'm getting my reverb from a different plugin. But if you want to use the built-in delay or reverb to take up that space, then you absolutely can. Just make sure you don't use both at the same time, use one or the other because otherwise it gets way too muddy. Now what you do from here is record your DI into your DAW, maybe in one take or maybe in a couple of chunks. Then once you're done with that, you record a playthrough video, dub over your video with the audio you already made, and then sync it up to make sure it's super tight. If you want an example of exactly what level 2 sounds like, just go watch my first 50 videos. They're all done like that. Now we're gonna get kind of tricky here, so let's move into level 3, mixing and mastering and fancy plugins. To me, this level is the great divider, kind of the barrier between sounding kind of amateurish and sounding kind of professional. Before I explain it, I'm just going to show you. So here's with no plugins, I'm just going to turn everything off except for Archetype Tim Henson, so no mixing, no mastering, and that. And here's with all the plugins on top. This is the reason that your favorite guitarist tone sounds so crisp and so full, and why you can't ever replicate it, because you're never going to be able to just put the right tone into the Neural DSP and get it to sound like them. You just can't. You need other stuff on top, and that's why Polyphia or whoever, that's why their tone sounds so good, because it's not just the amp, it's everything else. Now, what are these plugins actually doing? Where can you get them? All that. Let's start with the guitar signal, and then we'll do the master. In the signal chain here, I've got Archetype Tim Henson, then a reverb, and then I've got Curves Equator. This is kind of like a unmasker, you could say. It basically just makes it sound a lot brighter, a lot more present. I'm not sponsored by any of these plugins, by the way. I'm just being honest, this is what I use. Soothe 2. This one is more complicated. It's like a dynamic resonance suppressor, and it basically can just tame harsh frequencies and make it sound a bit smoother and nicer, which is why it's called Soothe. Now taking a look at the master channel, we've got some Fresh Air. This plugin's free, it's great, literally everyone should get it. Just adds like a little bit of sparkle and a bit of high end to it, just sounds nice. Then I've got another Curves Equator here. It's doing the same thing as before, but it's just like a lot weaker. Then I've got an IDX Intelligent Dynamics. This plugin's kind of just like bringing up the quieter frequencies and smoothing everything out a bit. Then I've got a G Clip. Normally you use clippers for other things, but all I'm using it for here is adding 2 dB of gain, just so it's hitting the limiter. And then lastly, I've got an Ozone Imager, which is stereoizing it, adding a little bit of width, and just making everything sound bigger. Now keep in mind, generally you never want to use Ozone Imager on the master. I can only do this because this particular project is literally just guitar and nothing else, so what I'm doing is just widening out all the guitar signal. And then an obligatory limiter at the end so that nothing clips. Examples of this level are going to be more experienced / advanced players and people that care about perfectionism a lot. So that's me being a perfectionist, and Tim Henson being someone who's quite advanced and has been doing it for years, and you kind of just get to this level after doing it for such a long time. Honestly, you don't really need to go beyond this level. You'll sound fantastic just doing all this. But if you're willing to go further, the dark secret of modern guitar. You want to hear it? In level 3, we learned that to get a good tone, you need to think like a producer and not a guitarist. But level 4 tells us the exact opposite. The majority of what you're hearing when your brain perceives good tone is actually just very good playing. Guitar is interesting because you can play the same note and the same phrase in so many different ways. Just take one note. You could play it as an open string, a pluck note but slightly further back on the bridge. You could play it with a pick versus playing with your fingers. You got to consider palm muting or playing the same note on different strings. You can slide into the note, slide out of the note, vibrato. How much vibrato? What kind of vibrato? The whammy bar, the volume swells, a harmonic, a tapped harmonic, a pinch harmonic, a harp harmonic, a kill switch if you have that. I mean, I could go on, but I think you get my point. Obviously, everybody knows that you can do these techniques, but level 4 is being able to apply them properly in the exact right context whenever they're needed to create the best tone. There are 2 ways to achieve this. You can either go the Guthrie Govan / Spyro Ducius / Greg Howe route and just practice for like 30,000, 40,000 hours until you're so good that you can just do all that on the fly while improvising or just whenever you want. Or you can go the non-alien route, and here's where we get controversial, record note by note. Charles Caswell. This guy has some of the best tone that you are ever going to hear. Everything is perfectly finely tuned to be exactly what he wants you to hear. In fact, it's too finely tuned. Not too finely tuned to sound good, but too finely tuned to be possible to execute in one take. So what he's doing is going in note by note, getting every individual idea, every individual note exactly right, and then piecing them together like a jigsaw puzzle. I'm not trying to call him out here, by the way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. He can play his stuff live. You know, he played it at NAMM, he can play his songs live, but on the Spotify recording and on his YouTube playthroughs, the audio you're hearing, it's recorded note by note, and that's because the ideas are so intricate that recording note by note is necessary to capture the musical idea. So yeah, in conclusion, this ultra perfectionist, ultra precise style of playing, whether done in post or in real time, combined with an amazing tone in your amp sim or in a real life amp, combined with a super professional mix and master, all of that together, that is the true level 4, or you could call it level 5 if you want. That is, as I see it, the limits of how good an electric guitar can even sound. There's a lot of gatekeeping, misinformation, and mystery around modern guitar and how they get these tones, how much of it is fake, how much is of it, you know, And I hope this video could clear up some of that. P.S. for those of you that follow me, I'm still working on Jasper. I won't get into it and I won't provide excuses, but just know I'm working on it all the time and it's coming as soon as possible. There's just a lot and you will really like it once it's finished, I promise. Okay, I love you. Peace, bye.